All right, so I failed to start the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, you have to catch the first 13 minutes of this over on the audio section. Think of it as like almost
Homework.
like a premium audio edition of it. Go check it out. You won't want to miss those 13 minutes only found in your podcast feed. Yeah, so let's before we move on and do Big 12 Media Days, let's give a recap of other Big 12, other Texas Tech recruiting since we last given an update. So you got this commitment from 5-star Felix. I'm just going to call him 5-star Felix. Since that came out on Friday, 4th of July, it's now noted that Texas Tech leads for number 1 recruit in the 2027 class, defensive end LaDamian Guyton. Same type of thing. If you're able to put together an NIL and revenue sharing package that rivals everybody else, or far exceeds that because you got to narrow that gap somewhere, you're seeing that. But I'm gonna list off a handful of guys. These next 1 to 5 guys I'm going to list off are a 4-star on at least one of the services, one of the main 4 services. Cornerback, defensive back, Savorian Morton. Cornerback or defensive back, Donovan Webb. Defensive back, Aaron Bradshaw. Running back, Ashton Ace Rowden. And interior lineman, Gerald Mays. And then these next 4 guys are consensus 3 stars: linebacker Kagan Ash, offensive tackle Jacob Crow, edge DeMarcus Marks, and wide receiver Amari Jahil. So I think those commitments stretch back into April, which I know we haven't been talking about football a lot since December, but those are the names I can remember. I don't remember actually bringing up on the podcast. There's a handful of guys that were committed in this calendar year that we have talked about. So you picked up Felix and Webb within the past week of us recording this, and Rowden. You got 3 of those 4-star, 5-star guys just in the past week.
Well,
it's been just incredible.
Tackle Jacob Crow is, just quote unquote a 3-star. I'm just kidding, especially Crow family, if you're listening to this. But he is 6'8", 290. That's a large man committed to Texas Tech. That's great.
Yeah, your defensive backs. I probably butchered his name. Morton, 6'2", 185. Donovan Webb, 6 foot 182. Aaron Bradshaw, 6'2", 185. So Webb is the shortest of those 3 at just 6 foot. The other, they all have the same size body. They're looking for bigger guys. Ashton
But still pretty lean at that height for sure.
But these are high school heading into their senior year.
Could still be growing.
Yeah, Ace Rowden, running back, 5'11", 200. Give me a 16, 17-year-old 5'11", 200 bruiser. So I'm sure he's going to grow up a little bit. Gerald May, 6'2", 280. Now, that weight's going to shift a little bit because he's probably, most high school offensive linemen are not the strongest 280 they're going to be if they're a college 280. So have some body recomposition going to happen when they get to campus. Kagan Ash, I thought was interesting. This is the first guy I've seen where they listed a half inch. Very important for him. 5'11" and a half. I'm so close to 6 foot, 205. And then the edge player also has a half at 6'3" and a half, 210.
That is interesting. Just round up. Nobody's paying attention.
Can I confess something, Michael?
Yes.
I claim I'm 6'4".
I believe it.
I'm not quite 6'4".
Oh, really?
I'm like 6'3" and more than a half. So it's like between half and 6'4", like
You're
6'3" and a
rounding
half.
up.
I'm just rounding up. Just round up. Especially if you're at half, no, just now.
Well, now I'm really self-conscious because I claim 6'4" as well, but I also
You're definitely taller than I am.
I always thought we were at least the same height. This is interesting. Now it's going to be so hard to settle this because you move
I think
9
you're
hours
taller.
away.
I'm back this weekend. I'm flying back Thursday.
Okay, all right.
To,
We'll get someone to put a ruler on our head while you're in the middle of closing your house and moving and everything. It's fine. You've got time. You'll make time.
yeah, gonna run to Caprock for one more bowl of queso.
Oh, that's it. Put a schooner on our heads. See if it balances.
So yeah, recruiting going swimmingly for the Red Raiders. And it's led to another quotable, t-shirtable response from my boy Cody Campbell. Have you seen it, Michael?
Ooh, I have. Go, please enlighten the folks.
Replying to I believe a Texas fan. I've not gone too deep into
it is because it's like Archie's something.
Season. He says, you got to land a top 10 class for the next 5 to 6 years to be able to compete with the big dogs, bub. He responds, I'm not going anywhere, bub. Put that on your next shirt.
If it wouldn't break it, I would have unhooked this mic and just dropped it on the keyboard.
Yeah. Okay, to his point, absolutely. You can't
we
be
do have to see some results.
Sure, you have to see some results, but you also have to put several classes together. Because you know what happened in the bowl game, Michael? Arkansas was missing some of their top guys. They still kicked your butt. Their second and third string guys were no joke. And you saw just how vastly different the depth was. But also, Texas only very recently has been able to do anything with the 5 and 6 years of recruiting talent that they've been stacking up in their top classes, right? Like before the past couple of seasons, last season specifically, they were putting together top 5 classes and going 8-4, 9-3. So sure, they made it into the playoffs last season and finally seem to have put it back together. I just thought it was rich that came from a Texas fan.
Well, and then the bub. Come on. Who do you think you're talking to?
Billionaire, dude. He's going to just go. Going to buy everything out from under you. Like, your house is now mine, bub.
That's B for billionaire, bub.
Big B. All right. So Big 12 Media Days also got some preseason lists. Let's do the all Big 12 preseason team for Texas Tech. You had 3 defenders on this list: linebacker Jacob Rodriguez, defensive line Lee Hunter, and defensive end, outside linebacker, however you want to declare that, David Bailey.
Right, and Rodriguez was also preseason defensive player of the year.
Yeah, he was Big 12 leading tackler last season. So that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. So today at Big 12 Media Days, this was day 1. I know that you're listening to this a week later, but day 1 on Tuesday, the 8th, included Texas Tech, of course, and Arizona State, Baylor, BYU, UCF, Cincy, Iowa State, and Kansas State. Everyone else is going to be on day 2. Who cares about them? We'll see what hairstyle Gundy has. I'm not really sure yet. But, the main thing I kind of wanted to recap just a little bit, and I was talking to Spencer about this before. We both listened to all 3 segments, I believe, of McGuire. He had the press conference at 11:15 on Tuesday. Then he went on to ESPNU, had about a 12-minute segment there with them. Repeated a lot of the same things, but that's not really his fault because he gets asked kind of the same question. And and then was able to hop on Sports Center later on that day. So kind of jumping around a little bit. Like I mentioned before, if you watch these videos, a fun drinking game would be every time the man says excited, just be careful. Be careful for your health.
You may be leaving his opening press conference like people that do the 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, and 9 innings challenge. Just saying.
Yes, that's very true.
And then he went on for 2 more segments after that.
Yes. I think, I touched on what he said about the expectations. They look, he's got the answer that you would expect him to have. They're excited about the opportunity. They get a chance to make a statement. To really build on the success, they really should end up in, he said DFW, which I thought was a slap to the Arlington folks. I feel for you. Sorry, Arlington. Just overlooked by the cities to your east and west. But he did mention that. One of the other, a couple of things that I found really interesting. And some of this, I think you may have touched on it some, Spencer, but it's been a while. And some of it was sort of rumor and not really completely confirmed. But one of the reporters during the press conference asked about Micah Hudson's re-recruitment. Mm-hmm. And McGuire really kind of got into detail with it. He said that McGuire called Hudson's mother right when the portal opened and said that he wanted to talk with Micah. And then she said, well, actually, he wants to talk to you and he wants to do it in person and come visit you. And so he's going to do that. And so that was how they opened up communication again. And McGuire admitted he could have done things differently with Hudson. And I think Hudson was concerned on the second time around that McGuire didn't want to talk to him or want to hear from him, but they seem to have buried the hatchet, and hopefully we'll see that show some progress on the field. Caleb Douglas was there. I hadn't gotten to see any of the player interviews. I was at my job today. How boring. So, Caleb Douglas was there. Romello Height was there. Lee Hunter, Baron Morton, Jacob Rodriguez, all those guys were there for media days. And I know that they participated in different interviews and all sorts of different segments that I haven't had the chance to see yet. But, with Hudson back on board, Douglas ended the year really strong last year, had a good game in a bad game in the bowl game, at least statistics wise. So there's definitely some hope there, and we'll get to see if Hudson gets to be on the field that much. The other thing that I'm sure we're going to hear a lot, so I thought I'd go ahead and bring it up so that everybody's ready for it. It seems like the mantra this season is make the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
And it's basically 2 things, and one of them is be on time, be where you're supposed to be. And number 2 is empty the tank. So whatever you're doing, go all out. Whatever it may be, whether it's a drill or the game, obviously, or I think even in the classroom, whatever it is. So I would just get ready to hear make the main thing and empty the tank. But we might as well just start the hashtag for empty the tank and get that going.
So going back to that game, the Liberty Bowl, the score.
Why?
Well, you brought it up. The score
brought it up.
The score didn't surprise me. 39-26, like we lost by two touchdowns, 2 scores. The stats being as close as they were did surprise me.
Yeah. Was it turnovers? It's been so long.
Hammond threw 2 interceptions. Taylor Green threw 0, so there was at least +2 there.
Yeah.
Fumble.
I thought, or maybe even like a 4th down.
They lost a fumble, so like you were only -1.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know about 4th downs.
Oh,
but
missed tackles. That's what I remember now. Missed tackles.
Huge
plays on Arkansas when they were on offense.
And didn't you fumble like the opening kickoff?
I've
and
blocked
give them a
this one
short
out.
field. It was
That's
something
hardly
stupid
possible.
like that, where like you start off the game by giving them the ball. Like, anyways, yeah. So one, they had 341 passing yards on 11 completions.
Yeah,
So
that was it.
31
That's what I
yards per
remember now.
catch, 16.2 yards per attempt. You finished with 280 passing yards. So they had 60 more passing yards than you did. Rushing was the same. You had 217. They had 218. You had a yard more per average carry than they did. 5.9 for you, 4.8 for them.
All those interviews, I swear that was maybe the only position group that was not mentioned was running backs. It's like no one's bringing it up. There's a big void where Taj Brooks used to stand. So I don't.
And you would think
I don't know what to look into that, but all three of those interviews never mentioned a running back.
You would think also like just asking the question like, okay, what's the plan now? You're missing out on.
That would have been one of the first things I asked him. How are things looking now that your all-time rushing leader is no longer there to just get you 3 yards whenever you need 3 yards?
Well,
how's that going?
about the progression of Cameron Dickey, Jacoby Williams. We added Quentin Joyner and all these things you could have said.
Sure. But no one, in his defense, no one asked him, but it was really obviously questions about Morton. That's standard for anybody, especially a quarterback coming off an injury.
And Morton did say to, Brock Osweiler or, oh my gosh, what's the Alabama quarterback's name that was there? He did the ESPN News
Terry
segment.
Bradshaw.
No. Bradshaw was at Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech. I know. I was just throwing you off.
McElroy.
There it is.
He told him like, shoulder. I've been cleared for a few weeks now. Shoulder's stronger than ever. I'm getting back into everything. And they asked about like how'd you stay in it with while you weren't in it. He said just getting all the mental reps again, starting to be involved and still a part of everything while not being able to fully go and practice. But yeah, Morton's shoulders supposedly stronger than ever. He did mention the one thing he's looking to improve. This was a question from Osweiler. He said, every quarterback goes into the season like they got some goals and areas they know they want to improve on. They identified. And Morton answered, Cam Ward was coached by Mac Leftwich at Incarnate Words. I got a lot of tape on him. I want to add just a little bit of that mobility to his game. He's like, and the way I interpreted the way he said it, not that he wants to be a running quarterback, but he wants to keep things available. He wants to extend plays and get the ball downfield or to avoid pressure or whatever. So, I mean,
well, and that jives with what McGuire said too on the ESPNU segment.
Mm-hmm.
He said Morton needs to do two things, and those two things are continue to protect the football, which he did do a pretty good job of, but also be more explosive on offense. So they're going to ask him to do more than a check down play or that sort of thing. I think they're going to ask him to take some more calculated risks in the offense, and this could be part of how Morton is approaching it, maybe by being more mobile and extending the plays a little bit more to give guys time to get open and kind of clear out some areas. So that jives. That sounds good. It's good that it sounds like they both have a similar approach. They've obviously talked about it and had very similar answers. At least Morton's was more in how he was going to do it, and McGuire was more, here's the things he needs to do.
Yeah. Speaking of turnovers, so Morton finished the season with 8 interceptions to 27 touchdowns.
That's really good.
As much as he was limited with his shoulder or whatever, had the highest completion percentage of his career at Texas Tech. Doubled his yards from any other year. Yards per attempt went up. He had 8 interceptions in 2023, 8 interceptions in 2024, but he went from 15 touchdowns to 27. 5 of his 8 interceptions came in his last 4 games. So he threw 2 at Iowa State, 1 at Colorado, 1 at Oklahoma State, 1 at West Virginia.
And it's possible that he was kind of playing a little hurt in some of those games.
Yeah, for sure.
And not quite as protected as hopefully he will be this year.
Got quite the, at least on paper, a great offensive line ahead of him.
That's how it is.
On the other side of the ball, McGuire was asked about getting Jacob Rodriguez back. And he went through the process, and he detailed it out and said, hey, anybody that in their program that is eligible for the draft, they'll sit down and have a presentation. Here's where everything that we've found says you could go. Here's where we think you could be improved. Here's how we think we can help you get there if you stay back one more year. He said he had that conversation with Jacob and his wife, and ultimately, obviously, was able to get Rodriguez back on campus. And McGuire said it was huge. Rock star when it comes to culture. He knows he has to back up the preseason Defensive Player of the Year hype. I think it was Rob on the radio show when they were interviewing Wisniewski. He asked what the defensive line was like and what it's like to play behind him. And then I even think McGuire said the linebackers are just loving it.
Yes, he did.
So
yeah, they're kind of looking forward to hopefully feasting a little bit,
which is crazy to say.
Like. Yes,
after Rodriguez had led the conference in tackles. You mean he's going to have even more free space?
Look out.
And then McGuire also had a very high praise for Lee Hunter. The pictures, the video, Lee Hunter is a grown man. He said he's bigger than life, and he was referring to his presence, his personality, but like he's a big dude.
It could mean two things.
It goes both ways. Has been incredible in the locker room. Just has high expectations. It's great.
Yeah, and he's just overall really proud of the guys that they brought through the portal. They're an old team now, as he said. A lot of it's because of that, and some of it is because of guys like Rodriguez and Morton who have stuck around and kind of aged into the program. So you like to see that. One thing you don't like to see is he did mention Matt Rule, but only once that I'm aware of. But it was a decent point where one of the things he learned from Rule, he said, was to trust your staff. And he said, and that goes, not just your coaching staff, but your roster development guys. He said, that's how this works now. He said, my main job is to create the culture and the bond and kind of keep the fire going, whereas, and let these guys do their thing. And I think that's kind of what, is that what we want as Texas Tech fans? I mean, I'm good with that. The man obviously knows football, but I'm good with the coach who's, I wouldn't call him the CEO type. I don't know what you would call him. High school football coach. I mean, the ball coach type. I don't know. But I'm good with that. I mean, let the guys that you hired do the job they're hired to do. And you go and raise money and you go on ESPN and you call players and you visit the house and, maybe you help Woods with the game plan since defense is more your thing, and look at the analytics, whatever it is you got to do. But I don't think anyone's disappointed that he's not out there coaching cornerbacks or something necessarily every practice. I think whatever works is what should is what they should do.
So you mentioned Texas Tech being old, and I was recalling this. I was looking at this just a second ago. Returning production, Texas Tech comes in at number 4 in the country,
And that's without Taj Brooks.
75%, 68% on offense. So there, obviously, that big drop there is missing Brooks. 68% still ranks for 25th in returning production for offense. Michael, 82% on defense.
Then
Good
you think of the
for
guys they added.
First. I think it does include guys that they added. So like anybody that
makes sense. They
starting snaps, they added that to your production.
Got it. Okay, so they calculate, what the other players were able to do on their other teams, like Bailey and Height, what they were able to do. And Hunter,
Wesneski.
That's right.
82%. That's good for first in the country on defense. Only Big 12 team ahead of you is Arizona State, which McGuire mentioned, like they're returning everybody except for Scadaboo. 78% returning on offense. It's 4th in the country. 79% on defense, which is 2nd. So
what are we going to do if this defense allows less than 30 points a game?
Well, we've seen it before. Your offense is to score more than 30 points per game.
Sure. Well, but I need to go back through my numbers because I know that last year was not good, but I think they got down to 24 the year before that. I mean, if maybe I should set the bar higher or lower. What if they allow below 25 points per game?
I'd be pretty excited about the possibilities of where this team is playing in December.
I would too. I'm going to look. I used to have that pulled up here. Okay. Texas Tech football scoring analysis. Here we go. No, that's your chart. Oh, your chart's so cool. That's so much better than mine.
Which one is that?
Don't worry about it.
I put so many of these spreadsheets together. I don't even I'll look at once.
I know. Yeah. I feel like I should just put, here we go. Points per game, offense, defense. So, yeah, 2023, Texas Tech allowed 24 points per game on defense, but only scored 29 on offense. And then last year they allowed 34.5 per game while scoring 38.6. So, maybe they can get back down to that 2008 level, 2009 level where, the defense was allowing 27 and the offense was scoring 45. 45. They didn't even get close to that until Mahomes came along in 15 and 16. They averaged 47 and 15 and 44 and 16. My goodness. But that's about what they averaged on defense.
Don't bring up what they gave up on defense.
Not even kidding. I know. That's my Super Bowl is that year, those 2 years with how bad the defense was. But okay, yeah. So realistically, let's just look at McGuire's 3 years. His defense, let's see. Dang it, why won't it just average? Sheets is so weird. Okay. His defense in his 3 years has been 29.4 points per game on average. So, yeah, if they get below 25 this year one, new coordinator, bunch of new pieces, I feel pretty confident about how that could turn out. That would be only the second time since 2008 that they've allowed less than 25 points per game. That was in 2009 and 2023, the one I just mentioned.
Yeah, well.
Are you getting psyched yet? What are we doing? 10-2? Are we at 10-2 yet? Are we 11-1? Where are we?
You want to look at the schedule? No, we're not doing that yet.
No, let's not. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that.
Okay. Anything else on football before we want to talk about basketball for a second?
No, I think I'm good.
I still have lots of things to talk about. Like question wise, it's going to be back to football for a second.
You're right. Yes.
We have 4 questions on deck, and some of them are going to be easy, I think. But basketball, the under whatever it was World Cup just happened. Christian Andersen returned to play for Germany, led them to a title game matchup with the USA, where he met with Coach Grant McCaslin or Jeffrey McCaslin, depending on which media outlet you read. But he was a member of the All-Star 5 playing for Germany this tournament, where he scored 17.3 points per game, 6.6 assists, and 4.6 rebounds. Those that are Patreon subscribers of the Gauchos and read what Money had to say know that he's awfully high on Anderson's ability to step into a point guard, number 1 guard role after this tournament. And I told him, he's like, you need to stop pumping all this sunshine because it's far too soon for basketball season right now. I mean, we are 4 months away.
Yeah, we're not even
5 months away. Excuse me.
Not technically ready for football sunshine pumping season, but it's upon us.
It is. Anderson had himself quite the tournament. But yeah, McCaslin was part of the USA men's under 19 national team coaching staff. Like I said, they met up with Germany in the finals. There was that tweet of I can't even remember what it's from, but of President George W. Bush making that ridiculous face he does, like he realizes somebody's looking at him. He's like,
"Oh, that was recent."
But, yeah, it was relatively recent. That video was clipped.
It might have been at a funeral.
The caption, was it
Carter's funeral?
It may have been Carter's funeral, where they had all the presidents like all squished together.
Yeah, they were all getting ready for a group photo.
Yeah. Anyways, the caption on that though was that McCaslin watching Anderson go light up from the USA sideline. Anyways, there's that. I'm super excited about basketball season. I know that like roster may not totally be done, but your coaching staff isn't totally done, and that may have some movement now that you're through all of this off-season stuff and got to be locking down your roster to get into school in the fall. We'll be sharing any and all of that when we hear it, but congratulations to Anderson on leading his team to the finals and playing as well as he did. That was awesome to watch. All right. As is the case with the off season, you get lots of non-game talk when I'm listening to podcasts, and I was catching up on some podcasts. I have lots of time on my hands, Michael, these days, especially when I'm driving back and forth between Lubbock and Corpus Christi. So I was powering through a bunch of the Solid Verbal podcasts I'd missed, and they were answering questions, and they were talking about the reputation of conferences, and they were answering a question specifically about why the Big 12 seems to be seen as some outcast. And both in their answer indicated that like conferences are seen as better if they have top tier talent, like star power, like number 1 blue bloods. And then also saying that you may not need it. So anyways, that got me thinking. One, Michael, I want to ask you, as a Big 12 fan, where would you say, or sorry, as a Texas Tech fan within the Big 12, where would you say the Big 12 conference itself aligns within the best conferences rankings of the Power 4, 1 through 4? Where would you say they fall? 3, 4, 5?
Okay. Are we talking about just football rankings,
Football, yes.
football talent. I mean, I think top to bottom, they're the most competitive conference, but that doesn't mean anything to a lot of people. I think that's something a lot of people like to say, but they don't actually like to see. Three teams
Which
go 9-3, or two teams go 10-2. No one actually likes that. They prefer the 12-0 team to just run the table, or the 11-1 team to lose to the 12-0 team. So I think people just are wrong. They don't like football as much as they think they do. And I would say that I think the Big 12 is in the mix overall. I'd say that the top of the Big 10 and the top of the SEC outweigh the top of the Big 12, unfortunately. And so I with that, I do think I would have to put them behind those two. I would have to.
so you would have them third.
I would have them ahead of the AAC or ACC. Sorry,
You definitely have the AAC, but
the Afterthought American Conference. No, that's not what I meant. I would have them ahead of them, but probably not by much. It's just they're just a gigantic conference. So whether it's deservingly so or not, I think they would be third just in the general rank of things. What do you got to say about it? You got some numbers for me?
I would probably say third as well. And
I
like,
think it's closer than people think, though.
well, here's what I was gonna say. In my mind, it was 1, 2, and then there would be a gap, and then 3, 4. Granted, this may have not been the right number to choose, and I may have to go back and update this list and use SP plus. I went off of FPI just because it was easily digestible, and I could break it out by conference. But I went through end of season FPI rankings from ESPN, and I went through every conference, or sorry, the Power Four, every team, their final rankings for every school in the conferences. So did it for Big 12, SEC, Big 10, and ACC. All right. I was not surprised SEC was first. I was surprised by how much. There was
I've got it pulled up now. I'm looking at it, and yeah, that's a noticeable gap.
as much as I thought there was like a 1-2 gap, 3-4, it's a 1 gap.
Yes.
2-3 gap 4. So also like experienced it watching the bowl game, and it's not the only time Texas Tech has gone up against a big SEC opponent in the bowl game where they've rolled out backups and just wiped the floor with you. Using this metric, I looked at their team rankings, and then I averaged them, and then I also looked at the median, and not the statistical person or mathematics person. I had to look up what each of those meant. Obviously, mean is the average. Median would be if you rank them all, or if you order them all, what's the middle there? All right, so for the SEC, the average team ranking was 22.7. For the Big 12, it was 43.8.
Ooh.
21 spot difference. My thought was, okay, so the Big 12 does not have a clear, contender or top tier of blue bloods. But if you took the meaty middle, if you took the Big 12 and compared to the meaty middle of everybody else, we would do pretty well. That would not work with the SEC. Just throwing that out there. Because Texas Tech, their highest ranked team was Arizona State at 21. Their lowest ranked team was Arizona at 80. So, Michael, you did a quick top to bottom differential there. It's 59 spots. SEC, their top team, Texas, came in at 2. Mississippi State, 66. So their differential is bigger, 64. But you'd have to get down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 SEC schools that finished ahead of your number one Big 12 school.
Mm-hmm.
And then 66 is ahead of your bottom three. So,
True.
Okay.
So, well,
I'm throwing out SEC. We're not even talking about them. Okay.
No,
That's
I
just
agree.
a foregone.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, this goes back to this numbers back up a little bit what I was trying to say earlier. I think the Big 12 is one of the most competitive teams. The average and the median are very close, and the top to bottom differential is the lowest of the four conferences. So, but I am still surprised at if you're looking at those same metrics, SEC is very competitive too. They top to bottom, they have teams that can go out and beat anybody else on any given Saturday. So I try not to talk too much about the SEC. I kind of hate them, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good at football. Seems like.
Yeah. All right. Here's where I was surprised, and I think everybody was like, "It's going to be SEC and Big Ten," and then everybody else. Big Ten. They had the number one team, Ohio State number one. They also had a team, the only conference with a team in the hundreds, and not even like 100, but 120. Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
If you include all 18 teams, 16 teams.
No, it's 18.
18, yeah, all 18 teams. Their FPI average was 42.1. The Big 12 was 43.8. That's almost the same.
That's a wash, and that's more. They have two more teams to get that average up, but they failed.
Yeah, so they have three teams that finished lower than your lowest team, 82, 89, and 120. And then they had 5 teams finish ahead of your top team. So their median was 40, and their top to bottom difference is 119. So then I was thinking, okay, what if we were to take the meaty middle comparison? I threw out, well, I don't know why I picked these two, but I took off Ohio State and Penn State. So if you took out their clear contenders, you could have also included Oregon, because those were their inside the top 10. Indiana was 10, but I took off Ohio State and Penn State. You know what? Here, let's just do this real quick. We're gonna take off Oregon too, just because. Why not? Their average, Michael, then drops to 49.5.
And the Big 12's is 43.8.
Mm-hmm.
So those top three teams are carrying a lot of weight.
Their median drops to 43. Then I decided, if you take off Ohio State, but also take off Purdue, just their top team and their bottom team, one, it gets you to an even playing field, 16 teams in each. Their average does jump up to 39.75. So Purdue is holding them down if you look at their average weighting or whatever, because that's a big gap between Northwestern, which was 17th at 89, and Purdue at 18 at 120.
Well, and you just have to believe that Michigan will be better than 29 at some point fairly soon, right? You just feel like that's going to go up, but yeah, I mean, I think you're making a great point that unfortunately for all of us who subscribe to the haterade of the SEC, they are the clear front runner. And this isn't just, you're using FPI, you're not using AP, you're not using college playoff rankings. These are actually based on a little bit more than just how someone feels about the color crimson. So the SEC is a clear front runner, but you're making a very good case that the Big Ten is just kind of saturated and bloated, and they only have 3 or 4 guys carrying most of the weight for them.
Yeah.
Which is something I think we've all thought, but couldn't contextualize in a numerical fashion. So I appreciate you being able to do that and share it with people.
So again, like if you took out Ohio State and Purdue, their median comes back to 40, which matches what the Big 12 has. Again, goes back to the competitive nature of the conference. It's just as competitive as the Big 12. It just doesn't have a Ohio State to champion the league.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC, which I think a lot of people were like, I think perception wise would say they're probably ahead of the Big 12. They are clearly last. Their average was 51.9. Where, like I said, not Texas Tech, Big 12 was 43.8. So there's a pretty good gap there. Their median was 54. And then their top to bottom difference was the third largest at 82. Their top team, Miami, was 11. They had teams 11, 12, 13, and 14. And then they had 37 through 93. So they have a very heavy presence in the top 4. And I don't think SMU is going to hang around there. Like I don't think they're going to be up there regularly. I think they're going to be carried by Miami, Louisville, and Clemson most years, especially this upcoming year. I think Clemson's going to retake that top spot. But
look out for North Carolina.
So I think the Big 12 catches an unfair stray when they talk about just how competitive and how great the football is in the Big 10. It's comparable. Like, okay, if you took the number 1 team in the Big 10, Ohio State, and put them up against the number 1 team in the Big 12, is it the same? No. The conference, top to bottom, maths out.
Well, and you could even argue it's even more competitive with a lot closer rankings between the top team and the bottom team.
Yeah. And this goes back to the recruiting conversation that like NIL and revenue sharing brings parity and like it levels the playing field. Is that what we want? Do we want more competitive games, or do we want to turn the TV on and see the same thing happen every time? Do we want to see the same 4 teams or 8 teams in the playoff? Or we want to see a Texas Tech, an Arizona State?
Mm-hmm. I think in that term, the playoff was a success because you did get to see those teams.
Yeah. All right.
And you probably wouldn't have otherwise.
They also had another interesting question, and this doesn't have to do with the reputation or the ranking or perception of conferences or teams. But the question was posed to them: if you could swap your fandom from your school to something else, to another school, what would you pick? I was going to put the stipulation, at least on me, that I was not going to pick a school where I also have familial ties, which would, for me, be LSU and Tennessee. LSU would be a pretty easy pick for me. Tennessee would be up there. I'm going to discredit. Not discredit. I'm going to eliminate them from contention for me. So my team will not be either of those. And I think you can go one of 2 ways, or you can give me 2 answers, Michael. One, you can pick like, okay, do you want to pick a blue blood, a title contender team that would just be fun to follow, where they win a bunch, or do you want to pick a team that is like Texas Tech, little scrappy underdog, a team that you would pick in like college football 25 and build up the dynasty of that program, take a Miami of Ohio to the national title game, I think. So So one, how do you want to answer? You want to pick just one team, or you say like, okay, for a contender, I would choose this, and then for, a Texas Tech similitude, some facsimile, I would pick this, or just whatever. I don't know. What do you do?
Well, I think, man, okay, let's reword it this way. So let's just say, what other college? Okay, so the question was, what other college athletics program would you swap Texas Tech out for?
In
Let's
your
add,
fandom,
yeah, that we're forced to, like someone's forcing us to do this.
sure.
Because I would never swap Texas Tech out for anyone. And I think you feel the same way. I just wanted to throw that caveat in there. So someone is forcing us. They're going to hold the Men in Black memory thing to our head and say, you were never a fan of Texas Tech, even though your diploma says it. Just forget it. And you're going to try to avoid family
Yeah.
ties. Dang.
So
So that rules
I
out
guess
Louisville for me because that was one of the first ones I thought of. And NC State, honestly, NC State was kind of on my. Maybe we should
it
break
doesn't
it
have
down.
to for you. Like, okay, so like that would also be Ole Miss for me,
Yeah,
and on my wife's side, Kentucky. Although
right.
those weren't contenders. Like I would have picked LSU or Tennessee first.
Yeah,
But you don't have to do that. I was just going to say that for me, like because I'm already kind of a fan of those schools, anyways. Like I watch them and are interested in how they do, and like when Texas Tech is out, I then turn to them. Like in
I do the
college
same
baseball, I was
Louisville
watching
too.
LSU. I was watching
Yes,
LSU.
I got you.
So
Yeah, I won't pick those because I already now NC State is legit. That's I don't have any ties there. I really enjoyed Tech going there and playing football there. I liked, even though Tech lost, I liked playing them in the NCAA tournament. They just it just felt so similar. They felt like a team that has the chance to just upset people here and there. I think that would be my pick for just going all in, whole hog. I've already got some red and black. I could make it work. I could buy some masking tape from Patrick Mahomes and figure it out. Uh, I think that's immediately who I went with as far as someone I would just follow day to day on everything. If we're going contenders, I mean, I kind of hate to walk that line because then that would I don't know. I don't know where I'd go there. Let me let you go first then. Okay, so NC State. I think that would be my pick for uh, just because of everything I said. I like the similarity of how they feel situated in the ACC.
okay, so I've had a lot of teams I've kind of casually picked up as I've casually rooted for them. A few years ago, actually, it was in the same year, and they ended up actually playing. It was Auburn and Oregon. And early on in my early on, I'm like young kid, like the color combinations meant a lot.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of blue and orange. So like the Auburn blue and orange have always been. I liked them back when Tommy Tuberville was their coach, not because of Tuberville, but like that long ago. I was also a fan of the Denver Broncos, but that was also pretty young. John Elway and Shannon Sharp, McCaffrey, Smith, Terrell Davis. That's such a great team. Well, great offense. So like those would kind of feel like fringe contenders, at least like, okay, Oregon for sure. So I don't know if I can easily pick out like a similar to Texas Tech. I mean Auburn maybe just because of like they've not been there for a while. So yeah, I would probably go with them.
So you're thinking Oregon,
Auburn.
Auburn. I would like to throw another one in for mine. I mean,
also,
not in addition. In addition, I would like an option too.
I also like. Okay, this is weird, but every conference I kind of have like a team that like I would kind of root for, like if they came up for it. Big Ten, it's Ohio State, and I hate to admit that it's not Michigan, it's not Penn State, it's not Wisconsin, although they were kind of fun in a weird way a few years ago with Bielema and their multi-1,000-yard rushing attack. The SEC, obviously, I can throw different teams out there. They just when Texas Tech was really good, late 2000s. Florida was also really good. They were fun to watch. But yeah. Anyways, I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but I would go contender, Oregon. Non-current contender would be Auburn for me.
I think my two. I don't know if either of them would be categorized as contender, but NC State, as I mentioned, and then Wisconsin. I would absolutely root for the Badgers. I think that would be pretty easy for me to do.
It's because you're a Merkel Badger.
Yes, that's right. Very, very easy transition. I go to Madison every couple of years for a conference, a software conference. The people up there are amazing. The city is fantastic. I would love to see a football game up there. They had I have not kept up with their basketball program, but I know in the last decade, did they not make a Final Four or a national championship run? I mean, they've had some good success there on the hardwood as well. Yeah, I might even pick them over NC State now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I've got a contender I really want to tie myself to. I think I'm good with either of those.
Yeah. In terms of other sports, Auburn and Oregon have both had runs with basketball, baseball. So, all right. I was just I heard that question. I was like, I'd be going to ask Michael. I want to see
it's a good one. That's solid. Okay, I hate to say this, but I might pick USC if I had to go with a contender.
I was no, I don't want to say it. I wouldn't. I've never been like they've had some good teams and good players, but like never enough that like caught me. I'm like I want to root for them. And maybe it's a red and yellow color combination. I just can't get behind.
I think it was because I rooted so hard for Texas to lose those years, and I liked Pete Carroll, and I've been to LA a few times, and I still like Lincoln Riley, even though I'm probably not supposed to. But yeah, but they would still be third. I would much rather take NC State or Wisconsin over USC.
I think a game at Wisconsin would be really cool to watch, especially the fourth quarter.
Oh my gosh. That would be so fun. That'd be so fun to go there. Watch him play USC. Big Ten rival.
Game. Yeah.
Well, here's what we should do. We'll go to Madison, and when Oregon comes to town, and we'll deck out in our fandom, our newfound fandom. I'll wear, but you'll do opposite. You wear your Auburn gear, and I'll wear my NC State gear, and we'll go to Madison.
They're like, I think you guys are confused. What are you doing?
No. It's a thing. It's fine. You don't have to
podcast we do. And...
I mean, if we did bits,
you had to be there. You had to be there.
Peep the shirt, yo. Peep the shirt.
Cop some merch. All right. This next one's your quite. I don't even know if I have an answer to this one yet. So
I do. So I can start. Okay. So we recently were in New Mexico over the past week, and I had to have. I don't always do this, but there are two things when I'm in New Mexico that I seek out if at all given the chance. One is red chili. Just don't see that very often here in Texas. You see green chili a lot, or chili con carne or something, but red chili. And two is huevos rancheros, which you do see in Texas as well, but not so much paired with red chili. So I don't, like I said, I don't always do this when I go to New Mexico, but man, I couldn't avoid the craving this time. So I had to have huevos rancheros. We went to this place. I forgot what it was called, Chocolate Maven, for brunch, and they had huevos rancheros, and you could get red or green chili, and I got red.
Of course. Yep.
It was so good. So my question to you, with that kind of backstory, do you have any food, quote unquote, must-haves when you visit another city or state or country or whatever it may be? Like, do you ever go to some place and you're like, okay, we're going, we're going here. Okay, well, I'm going to have X, Y, and Z or whatever.
When you were talking about going back to New Mexico and you said red chili, I was like, oh, that actually do miss that. And there's a specific dish, asado, that I would kill for right now. It's pork stew in the red chili.
Oh yeah.
Goodness.
Yes.
It's not carne asada. It's asado.
Asado.
Oh my goodness. It's so good. I had a former employee whose grandmother lived in New Mexico, and she promised to make me some. I never got it. I had to fire her. I'm kidding. I didn't fire her. She left on her own accord. But that sullied my resolve to ever give her a positive recommendation moving forward.
Would you hire this person again? No, I wouldn't.
Why not? Well, let me tell you, fine hiring manager.
I really shouldn't get into it, but do you have a minute?
And they're all like, oh my gosh, what did she do? What are we about to uncover?
Oh yeah. Okay,
she
get ready.
Said,
get a pen and paper.
But I can't think of anywhere else that we go on a regular enough basis that I have a go-to dish.
Yeah, I mean, New Mexico's that's just become. I need red chili on something while I'm there, if at all possible. And huevos rancheros. That one doesn't happen as often, but man, I was craving it this trip so bad, and it delivered. It's so delivered. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Black beans on the side.
I have to think about that more. I can't think of anything else right now besides, like you said, red chili in New Mexico. I was like, instantly thought about that.
Well, I bring up Wisconsin because I already mentioned 5 minutes ago that we go there every now and then for a conference. The cliched cheese curds.
Mm-hmm.
I like to get some cheese curds up there. I like to get some form of bratwurst, some form of bangers and mash or whatnot. That I feel like that's got to happen. And kind of the same thing if I ever go to Fredericksburg. I need some form of German sausage with some sauerkraut, the whole works, the spicy mustard, whatever. So those are kind of where I'm leaning.
So you brought up German again. We are planning I say family, not all of us are going to go. Planning a family trip to Germany and or Austria. And it's not German, it's actually Turkish. But there's a Turkish dish. It's called a döner that I would travel halfway around the world to go eat right about now. For those unfamiliar, it is roasted meat that is shaved off of a rotating spit in front of a fire. Typically, it's served in a pita pocket type of bread pouch with your cabbage and vegetables and tzatziki. You get your choice of meat. I think it's lamb. It's pretty good. But you can do meat, beef, or other. There is a there's a variation of this dish that I got at the Hamburg train station, where instead of it being served in a dooner, in the bread pocket, pita pouch, whatever you want to call it, it was served over French fries in a cup. So you had a cup of French fries with the shaved meat, with the sauces and oh my gosh, you just eat it with a fork. That's called a Palm Dooner because Pommes is German for fries. Pommes frites.
Oh, I talked to a friend of mine. He swore up and down about this place. I'll have to ask him about where it was. But he said, well, he told me a specific place, but just get schnitzel. That was what he said. You need to get some schnitzel in Germany, and the legit stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're looking it up, it's
like
dooner,
shawarma.
Or dooner kebab is another way to. So it's Turkish dish, meats cooked on a vertical rotisserie is what they're calling it.
And then they shave it off like they do with shawarma. I read that the only difference really is the seasoning. Like shawarma is a little bit more heavily seasoned because it's more of Middle Eastern origin. But it looks very similar, and it sounds fantastic because I'm all about that.
Yeah, I would love. Okay, so you can get something very similar to this if you're there in Lubbock at Motomedi.
They'll even put it on fries. I was going to bring that up.
They do it over fries. So I had a version of a palm dooner at Motomedi there in Lubbock, and it was pretty good. I had to get the lamb just to throw it back. Not quite the same, but that tzatziki, the mint cucumber yogurt sauce. Oh my gosh. I may have to go hit up a Greek restaurant here in town. I'm thinking about it, which is, it's crazy how similar that flavor profile is to Turkish, but I couldn't even tell you what exactly spices that overlap there, but that's what I would say. Probably asado if I'm thinking New Mexico or going back overseas, Turkish dooner kebab. So, excuse me. All right, last question for me, because at this time it is Prime Day, Amazon Prime Day. Do you have any Prime Day deals you're looking at, Michael? Anything out that's caught your eye? You're like, do I want to spend a couple extra bucks to go get that you probably don't need? Or
I need to look. I keep getting the emails, and I just kind of logged on to the homepage after I saw your question and thought, well, let me kind of browse through. But one thing I might look into is a TV. We needed in the bedroom. We have a dumb TV that we've had for like 14, 16 years. I don't know how long we've had that thing, but we've had it a long time. And the picture's going out. And so I wanted to experiment with, and this is, of course, the worst type of TV to put on your back porch is one where the picture's going out. But I thought, well, I might experiment with this one. And so there's, I might, a TV might be something I look for, something kind of smaller, the 32-inch range or so. And then maybe an outdoor mount and or cover, because they do sell the covers. I do have a cover in my wish list. So that would be the only thing I'd kind of look into right now.
Okay. Because you brought it up. If you're a fan of the Roku system,
yes, 100%.
They have a 32-inch Roku, $99.
I think I'm going to buy it.
They were
like $140. Most of the ones I've seen.
It is $720. Would you be able to discern that outside? Maybe not.
Well, I'd want to use the new one inside.
Oh, well.
And just play around with the old one outside. That way, if it's like it gets trashed quickly, or like, oh, okay, well, no harm, no foul. I didn't just put a brand new TV out there.
Yeah, well, you can get 43-inch Roku. So if you're just going to replace and put a decent one in your house, 198. It's not bad.
No,
TVs are
it's
so
not.
stupid cheap these days.
It's like the thing, someone brought that up the other day. It's one of the only things that has just gotten cheaper and bigger as technology has improved. Phones, they have gotten more expensive. They do a lot more. I mean, it's you kind of understand it, but gosh, I remember when an 80-inch TV was like $7,000, and now you just walk out with one for what, less than 1,000 maybe in Costco,
Yeah,
with a better picture that probably weighs 60% of what the one did a decade ago.
you can get
It's
a
insane.
75-inch 4K QLED Roku TV, $798 right now.
Get out of here. That's insane.
It's a big ATV.
Yes, it is.
For me, I'm having a hard time not hitting add to cart and buy on the new Apple AirPod 4s,
Okay.
which they just came out with, or are just coming out with them. So they're like a blend between the original AirPods and the AirPod Pros. They have some of the AirPod Pro functionality without the rubber ear tip things. I can't stand. Like, I don't like the squishy foam, or not the foam, the rubberized one that you have to squeeze into your ear. Because whatever it is, whatever you do to get it in, my ear pushes them out. Like, they just don't. Whatever benefit that is to help seal off, I lose the benefit because it just works its way out of my ear. I have always done well and enjoyed the original Apple headset earpiece size or shape, whatever. This one's a little bit different, and they've kind of adjusted, but like I said, it has more of the original shape to the earpiece, but more of the AirPod Pro function. For Prime Day, you can get it without um the adaptive noise reduction and all the extra bells and whistles for $90.
Oh,
Originally,
well,
I think
okay.
I think they're 130, so you're getting like $40 off, like 30% off. If you wanted to get the AirPod Pro version of it, with all the adaptive noise, whatever, they're 120. But I think they're
Apple.com should be able to answer that question.
I wasn't talking to you. I think they're supposed to be 180. So you're getting them like $60 off. So I'm like, man, do I go ahead and grab it? Like, for the price so that I would spend to replace my AirPods, do I do that? Because I've had a couple sets of knockoff AirPod Pros that my sister-in-law has given me, but like, well, they're jicky knockoffs. They haven't worked.
I've got some JLab ones that I bought for. They're not AirPods, obviously, but they're Bluetooth headphones, and I bought them on a whim at Target 3 years ago, and they've been fantastic. They're the first and only pair I've ever owned until recently. I bought some JBLs off of Amazon. I wasn't really paying attention because I wanted to have some at work, because my phone is so old. The headphone jack doesn't really work anymore.
Your phone has a headphone jack?
Yeah, it's a 2019, brother. We're still going. We're on the S10. It was before they started changing them to the year. So anyway, I bought Bluetooth at work, and I bought the JBLs, and I kind of hate them, but I'm stuck with them. They just don't fit my ear well at all. The best way they fit my ear is if I turn them almost upside down, which doesn't make any sense, but I may be stuck with them.
And I know, like, I think I've done it before. Like, you could still use the Apple AirPods with a Android device,
Hmm.
and you will. I think you do lose some functionality, but I'm thinking. So this phone here, it's an iPhone. It's an iPhone 14, I think. I got it the spring that Finley was born, so it's now 2 years old. The charging jack, you have to have it just so where it
Oh,
charges the phone. It's been that way because I like it's fallen enough times. It's
that's
just
where I'm at with mine too.
something's a little bit off with it. So it's like the phone is fine outside of that, but like it needs to be replaced and updated. So I was thinking like I do this every few years too. Like I think I'm gonna go back to Android.
I can't imagine switching. I picked Android back with the Galaxy S2, I think, and
I
never
picked
looked back.
I went from a dumb phone to an Apple the iPhone 4. That's would have been like 2010. And then I went to the Samsung Note because it had like just a
Hmm.
redonkulous size screen. I was like, duh, I want a big phone. And I stayed with that. And I went through, I think, 2 iterations of the Note before they had that giant recall for the exploding batteries. And at that time, they could not get me into another Note or similar sized phone outside of an iPhone. So I went back to iPhone. And it's been simple, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Apple ecosystem is simple and it's unified. Whatever. Samantha has an iPhone. She'll never switch. So it's been good to share like subscriptions, like the Apple Music and stuff that way. But man, I'm kind of tired of paying for the new and greatest iPhone for it to be stuff that was on an Android 2 years ago. And then that's one thing. But then for Apple to act like it's some kind of revolutionary things like
Well, that's how they act about everything.
you just put the Samsung screen on your phone that Samsung's been using for 4 years. Like, oh, it's this great technological advance. It's like, it's the same phone that was on like the S23.
If I could still,
But now it's in the iPhone 16. It's like, oh, it's an amazing screen. It's unparalleled. No. It unparalleled to the Apple universe, sure, but it's been on Android devices for years.
this will date me, but prior to my first experience with a smartphone was the Razr 2. I had the first gen Razr,
I had a Razr.
and then I think I might have had something in between that I don't remember. Then I had the Razr 2, and then I bought a Blackberry, and I loved that thing. I loved it. I like replaced the trackball because it went out, it quit working, and I like found something online from Amazon, ordered a replacement trackball, bought some little tiny tools, limped it along for another 6 months or whatever, and then finally, then I got the S2. I think the Galaxy S2, and I've just been griping about non-physical keyboards ever since. But yeah, the BlackBerry was my first official smartphone, I guess I should
My
say.
stepdad had a BlackBerry, and it was wild. I remember one of the first things, like he was kind of showing off. We were in church one day, and he was checking the scores to the Cowboys game, which was unheard of
That's insane. Yes.
at that time. Like we're talking about like almost 20 years ago now,
Uh-huh.
and obviously it's probably longer than that. And like you had to like actually go and refresh the page, and it was literally like just code. Like it would say Cowboys 7, 49ers 3 or whatever.
That's fine.
It wasn't like a score bug. It was literally just text. But like at that point, it was novel. I was like, this is fantastic. Hit refresh again. Did they score? Did something happen? We need to know. And he's like, I'm not using my minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah, because it was probably so much per megabyte then.
Yeah.
Which, or even kilobyte. I think sometimes they had kilobyte charges back in the day.
Yeah. So yeah.
I miss
All right,
BlackBerry.
let's transition and start wrapping up with what do we learn. We're going for a little bit longer episode. It's the off season. You're just going to enjoy some extra minutes with us. So let's wrap up with what do we learn.
What do we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. All right.
I've got a couple things. Yeah, I've got a couple things. I'm going to not do the third one because it's just kind of lame. I feel better about the other ones. So
I can fill the space there. Not talking. Like, yours was about mowing. I will fill that space. I will talk about
perfect.
mowing.
Perfect. Okay. So I had my 42nd birthday last week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And on that day, we were at family camp, which is at this place called Glorieta, just south of Santa Fe. Gorgeous camp. And, the three of us were there. They have a lot of activities for you to do or not do, whatever, kind of whatever floats your boat. So what just happened to be my birthday, I found out that I ain't as good as I once was in two different ways. One, that morning they had the mountain scooters open, which I think I've talked about before because we did go 2 years ago, and it's just like it sounds. It's especially if you're older like me, you remember those push scooters you had as a kid that had actually pneumatic knobby tires with hand brakes. Not the little razor ones with like rollerblade tires or whatever the hell they've got now, but these were actually kind of small bike tires basically. So think of that, but with bigger tires, 16-inch tires or whatever, handlebars, front brake, rear brake, but it is just a scooter. There's no pedals, there's no chain, there's nothing. And so they haul you up to the top of a trail, and they give you a helmet and say, good luck. See you at the bottom. And so you just push off and you go down the bottom and you think, oh, well, I'm not going to really get going that. And then you do. You get going pretty darn fast. So I went 3 times that day. The first time I got kind of stuck behind a father and son who were going too slow for me. So I was just on their tail the whole time because you have no other option. Like you can't really stop either because there's people coming behind you. So anyway, I was a little bit frustrated and just made it to the bottom and thought, okay, well, it was still fun. I still got to do some fast stuff. And then the second time I purposefully waited and there was a big gap between me and the person in front of me. I thought, okay, we're going. And I started getting some air here and there and started going pretty fast and started getting a little confident / cocky. And I paid for it dearly at the bottom. I caught some air and I came down, and I kid you not, Spencer, I think it's because it was my birthday and it made me feel so alive that I'm still in my 40s and I'm doing something like this. But I was smiling midair as I'm going towards this rock that I know is going to cause me to wipe out. And I'm just like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm too old to do this. I should know better, but here we go. And I hit it, and then bite it. And my friend was behind me, and he saw it. It's like, oh, man down. But I hopped back up. Knees are skin up. Got some bruises. Luckily, I was wearing a long sleeve shirt, so everything's okay there. I did go back down again for a third time because it was just that much fun. But I kept my cool the third time. The other thing, that same day, there's a little lake area, and they have a big slide and some other stuff. And there was a relay. And so you're kind of assigned a team, and you do a couple things with your team throughout the week while you're there. And this was a relay where you had to get your pool noodle from one place to another. And so my chosen part of that was to take the water slide. So my teammate in front of me handed me the pool noodle, and my job was to run up at least 4 stories of stairs and then slide down a water slide and then swim to the shore.
Okay.
And that was one of the most exhausting things I've ever done in my life. Because I ran up those stairs, the adrenaline's pumping and everything. And I had to catch my breath because, like, oh my gosh, now I've got to slide down and swim. I mean, I had a life jacket on. It's not like I was going to drown or something. But then I measured it later. I swear, man, I was like, gosh, that was at least a football field or two. I think it was 100 feet. But anyway, that's what I learned.
Most people aren't used to swimming distances. I learned that, like, just my current location, just all the things going on out here at the coast. I've been getting a lot of current and like rip current content. Like, here's how to identify what a rip current looks like, and here's what you do if you get caught in one. Blah blah blah. So they actually had like a news reporter anchor go out there, like with his photographer, get caught in one, like intentionally, but like had it set up where, like, if he needed help and rescue, like, there were people there. But in his stories, like, most people can't swim but like 40 yards without getting tired and need to stop and a break. He's like, and rip current's going to take you out 2 to 3 times that. And then, like, you have to swim, like, not in a straight line to get out of it or get back to the shore. Like, so one, if you're fighting the current at all, you're going to wear yourself out. And then once you finally get out of it, you got to swim 2 to 3 times what most people can normally swim. Like, the point was, like, if you realize you're in one, flip over and float until you get out of it, and then kind of like softly paddle with your arms to see if you can get out that way. Otherwise, you just kind of have to wait until you finally get out of the current, and then start working your energy to work yourself diagonally away from the current, but back towards the shore.
Which I'm sure most
I'm
people
not-
like me would just panic and just, you panic swim and you lose all your strength. And
then you're like, well, I'm not moving anywhere. I got to try harder.
Right.
And then
Yep.
you're like, you wear yourself out and make no progress, or, all of your effort is spent on maintaining your current position. Then you wear out, and then it takes you out, 150 yards. You're like, well, now what? So yeah. Can I identify what a rip current looks like from the shore? Maybe. Do I know what to do if I get caught in one? I have a better idea now than I did a month ago. But anyways, what did I learn, Michael? I learned that my trusty weed eater has gone out.
electric time?
I don't know. Like, so I was back in Lubbock this past weekend, 4th of July weekend. Saturday evening, I had to wait till the evening for one. So we moved a lot of stuff into storage Saturday morning, and get my energy level back up, because that was pretty draining, and I wanted to cool down a little bit. I go to the shed. There's nothing in the shed anymore except for my mower, my weed eater, and a gas can. So I moved everything out, put it in storage. All right. I like to weed eat first, edge, and then mow. Right? So I try to start the weed eater. And it's acting like I've got the kill switch on, right? So, like, with my gas trimmer, there's a switch you have to push, or you flip it back to turn it off. So oftentimes, like, I've done this before, I'll go to start it and I'm like ripping on it, and like it just won't start. Like it feels like it wants to. It's like, oh, the stupid switch is off. So it's like, no, the switch is on. So like I flip it back and forth a couple of times to make sure, like, maybe the switch is going out, and like it needs to catch all the way and make sure it's in the on position. Wasn't doing it. I was fiddling with a choke. Like, well, maybe I messed with the choke. I don't know. I fussed with it for like 20 minutes and I couldn't get the thing to start. I was like, this is so strange. The very last weekend I was here working on the yard, it ran just fine for me. Gave me no problems. And then it sits for 10 days and I get back and it's like completely dead. The gas line looked fine. The bulb, it had primed. It had gas in it. It's like, I have no idea what the problem was. So I gave up and I mowed, and it felt like such a failure to mow and like not have that finale, like that final, like I'm done with it because it looks nice with the edges weeded and trimmed and got the grass was shorter, but it still looked raggedy because I wasn't able to trim.
I'm sorry. I understand that.
So I'm going back obviously this weekend to load up the rest of the stuff. I don't know if I'm going to try to mow again. I'll see what the state is. I'll definitely try to restart it. If it's dead, I may bring it down here and take like a small engine repair shop and see what they have to say. Because I actually really enjoyed the gas weed eater.
Have you changed the spark plug? Did you talk about that?
No, I tried to get the spark plug cover off and it wouldn't come off. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. It was so like 95 degrees and pretty humid because it was pretty rainy last weekend.
Yeah, after a full season and almost a half of that with mine, we just never knew how long it was going to take to start, and or if it would randomly die while you're using it, how long it would take to start again. That was what drove me to the electric plunge, was just because it was so unpredictable and it didn't make any sense. It always seemed flooded, and I have no idea why. It always seemed flooded. The last year I had it, it was just always puffing white smoke, and you could tell it wasn't. I could tell by the sound and how it was responding to the throttle. It was flooded.
There were times when I could smell the gas.
Yes. Yeah.
So like maybe it had gotten flooded.
But it should work itself out at some point.
But I could never get it to start. Yeah, I couldn't get it to start. And so like maybe I'll just let it sit and so I mowed and then I went back and tried to restart it and nothing. No difference. So it may be time to replace it. I don't think it's not even that old, and it was an expensive piece of equipment when I bought it. And I bought it specifically because I was going to do weed eater and edger, the replaceable, not the interchangeable heads on it. And of course the power and the gas, it just made me feel like a man. I hate that. All right. So I actually may be done mowing the yard out in Lubbock.
That's crazy. That's a crazy feeling.
It's Tuesday. I fly back Thursday night. I load the truck up, put all the stuff on the truck Saturday morning, drive the truck back to Corpus Christi on Sunday, and I'll be responsible for another yard. St. Augustine. I've never had St. Augustine.
Ooh, how exciting for you.
I do know that
my mom loves it. For what that's worth.
Is a aggressive warm season grass that likes to be cut tall.
Yes.
But it's not soft. It's kind of crunchy.
Correct. All of that is true. There were some yards in Abilene that had St. Augustine. It's kind of common back around Abilene, or way more common than here.
No, you for sure. It definitely needs a higher level of moisture and humidity.
Right. Which it's not like, Abilene's some oasis, but for some reason, folks just really liked it there.
Yeah. My mom had it for a while in her house. She may still do. The problem is like she was having she has a very small yard for her size lot, and a lot of it is now shaded out with some trees that have grown up significantly over the 20 whatever years that she's lived there.
I think it does well in shade too.
Yeah, but I'm excited to have another go at a new lawn grass type. I do know it is kind of finicky and needs a little bit more maintenance, like preventative fungicide applications, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mom brought some up here and it did not last, but maybe 5 years or so before it was all gone.
Yeah. It does not compete well with Bermuda, but this house is on a corner lot, and the driveway is on the neighbor's house side. So I get like all of the front and then the corner swing around the whatever. It's all one stretch. Does not touch anybody else's grass. So if it gets any Bermuda in there, it's been either tunneling or a transplant from somewhere. I also know that you can't grow St. Augustine, which is wild that like the varieties we have now are sterile in the sense that like they don't produce viable seeds, but that we're still able to grow the grass, grow enough of it to cut sod and regrow it. And you plant
You
sod.
buy it. Yeah, you plant. It's like
Or
you plant
plugs.
shoots of it or something. Yeah,
Yeah. But
that was what Mom did.
So that's about all I know about St. Augustine right now. I'm sure we'll learn a whole lot more about it. And the Going Yard episode.
Oh boy, it's gonna be
segments
meaty.
Gonna be different. And with the climate down here, I may be mowing it into December. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know when it gets cold here, if it ever does, because it may just be the summer, or it just may just be normal here. But like the month I've been here, it's not. I think the hottest it's ever gotten is 91. Like, but it feels like so much hotter. It's like, okay, sure, the feels like temperature's a little bit warmer because of the humidity. But you know where it has been over 100 degrees? Back in Lubbock.
Say what now?
I'm just saying, it's been over 100 degrees during this stretch at some points. When I'm here, enjoying my 88 degrees to 105 up there. And you know what also I have, guys? I have the ocean. Okay.
You do.
If I'm like, man, it's really hot today. It's 89 degrees. It's really hot. I'm going to go put my feet in the freaking ocean.
And the ocean is only 84.
Yeah, the ocean, the Gulf water is actually pretty warm.
Quite warm.
But you know what also is on the beach, Michael? It's a pretty constant breeze.
That's true. That breeze off the water is tough to beat.
The other thing, well, I probably said this enough for the other things to just be done by now, but the weather alerts down here are kind of wild because they do it based on I've learned this. You get a weather alert based on if it's out of the ordinary for the area. So we got a
you're
wind.
new to the area.
Well, no, but we got a wind warning down here, Michael. I want you to guess the sustained and the gusts that they were giving a wind warning for down here.
Okay, I'm gonna. You've kind of teed it up for me, so I'm gonna say like sustained 20, gust 35.
It's 1525. Sustained winds for 15 miles an hour. I was like, that's a light breeze, man. What are we talking about? A gust of 25 will move some trees, sure, but like that was bad enough to get an alert on my phone. I also got a heavy rainfall and hail. I was like, okay, this sucks. I kind of whatever.
Well,
the
I guess
alert for the hail was up to pea-sized hail.
Up
Michael.
to pea. Oh, good night.
I was
Now,
like-
okay, the wind I kind of get because they probably have so many people on the water that really affects and that really matters. Makes the waters choppy, or if you're sailing or whatever you're doing. But up to pea-sized hail, we would learn about it when it started hitting our car.
And that's the like that size hail would be annoying to be caught in,
Sure.
but not enough for a weather alert. Like sure, like you'd want to know that hail is coming.
Sure.
But yeah. Anyways,
Ugh.
I just thought that was interesting.
Okay, real quick, I just wanted to touch on one thing. So the week before last, my buddy Ace and I ventured to Denver to see Metallica.
Oh yeah.
And I'd never seen Metallica before, and they were there 2 nights, and so we got to see them the first night. We didn't go the second night. We just went the one. I thought I was prepared. I was not prepared. It was incredible. They are so good. They are so precise. They are so loud. I was just super impressed by it. So it was held where the Broncos play at Empower Field at Mile High or whatever it is, and it actually broke the Taylor Swift record. The 2 days they played there, more people came to see Metallica than Taylor Swift. So when I was there, I think it was 75,000 people were there at that concert. Man, it was nuts.
Wild.
Limp Bizkit opened for them.
Wow.
They were pretty great too.
Throwback to like early 2000s rock scene.
Oh yeah,
man.
that 1999, man. So Fred Durst has really leaned into the his graybeard dad era, and so I mean he's not like jumping around like a teenager or anything. I just dug it. It was a cool vibe.
I just saw a picture.
He
of
still
him.
sounded great. I mean the band sounded great. It was really enjoyable. We got a kick out of it. I thought they were pretty great. But man, Metallica is something else. That whole stadium, they shut off all the lights and they play "It's a Long Way to the Top." If you want to rock and roll by AC/DC, that's just like their opening song, and they play the whole thing, bagpipes and all. You get to hear the whole thing, which is great. That's like because I love AC/DC and I know that they do too. So that was cool. And they come out to that "Ecstasy of Gold" instrumental from the Clint Eastwood westerns. Anyway, wow, what a show! We're already talking about trying to see him again someday. But yeah, that night they played, of the quote unquote hits. They played "Nothing Else Matters," "Sad But True," "Fuel," "Seek and Destroy," "Master and Puppets," or "Master of Puppets." Sorry, that's kind of how they ended it. But it was just a great show. I thought I knew what to expect, and they still blew me away.
Yeah, I was looking at this set list, like, man, I don't recognize the first 10 songs on this list.
Pretty much for me, I was very similar. But
which is a long time to sit around waiting for them to get to something like, oh my gosh, like,
right.
I pay
but
all
when
this
you're
money
there, no, I agree with you. But when you're there experiencing it, and so one of the ones you didn't recognize was one I didn't either, which was King Nothing. That one's pretty cool. That one's definitely worth checking out. Harvester of Sorrow, I'd heard. I did know that one.
For those listening that may know Metallica, like the set list: Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorrow, Holier Than Thou, King Nothing, 72 Seasons, If Darkness Had a Sun, Kirk and Rob Doodle, The Day That Never Comes, Cyanide, Orion, and then it gets to Nothing Else Matters, Sad But True, Battery, Fuel, Seek and Destroy, Master of Puppets.
Right. So I'm sure they did all that intentionally. We do think so. Night two, we did kind of wish we could have stayed because night two was Sunday, and I think we would have enjoyed that a little bit more.
Did they have a different list on Sunday?
Oh yeah, because it's no skips, so you can buy a ticket for both nights, and some people did. Like I have a friend of mine from high school who lives there, so he bought a ticket for both nights, and so night two opened with Whiplash, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Ride the Lightning, The Memory Remains, that Luke's Eterna or whatever, Too Far Gone, Kirk and Rob Doodle again. So that's the lead guitar player and the bass player. They just kind of play something together. Welcome Home, Sanitarium, Wherever I May Roam, which is maybe my favorite. No, For Whom the Bell Tolls is probably my favorite. The Call of Cthulhu, The Unforgiven, Whiskey in the Jar, and they closed out with Blackened.
That one. That's
Moth into
my
Flame,
favorite.
One, and Enter Sandman. So,
all right,
I'll let y'all decide. But we got to see night one. We were blown away. We're going to try to see them again. I just can't believe how good they sounded.
All right, I'm sorry to do this. We're gonna get a strike on YouTube, but See, okay, if I had a choice for night 1 or night 2, hands down would have won for me.
I kind of think so too. As much as I liked night 1, that's probably where I'd go to.
Okay, I don't know if Michael can hear it, but Whiskey in the
I
Jar.
can.
It's one of my favorites.
God, I hadn't heard this one in a long time.
I'm trying
You might get a phone call from Lars
to shut down Napster, by the way. I
directly.
didn't know this.
Oh, we remember.
So good.
So they played in Houston like the week before, Spencer. That's only 3 hours from you. If they ever come, if they come back through, they might hit up Houston, so you might be on the lookout.
I gotta look at where they're going now. Okay, so Limp Bizkit, like in Metallica, that was like in my, I say my rotation. It was in my rotation because of my brother.
Yeah, it was in my rotation because of one of my best friends at the time.
Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water, that came out about the same time that Mission Impossible movie, because they had the so it looks like they're done it in the US. Yeah,
They might be. I haven't looked at the tour.
because their website has, well, it just says M72 World Tour starting off in Australia November 1st.
Yeah, they must be.
So you kind of at the end of the tour, man. Look at that. View past shows. July 5th. Yeah. Denver, 27th, 29th. And they went to Birmingham, England on July 5th. And they're done. Okay, but they were in Houston June 14th.
Yeah,
I was...
probably very busy.
I started June 16th. So like I was
Yeah.
I was moving in.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm not saying this tour they're going to be in Houston, but if they go on tour again, obviously that's a stop that they might make again.
Yeah. Well, not on their world tour, but
There's always next time.
so. All right. Before we play the entire song and get copywritten, that'll do it for us on 23 Personnel Podcast. 2 hours of us, and if you're watching on YouTube, you got an hour 47 of us. You have to go back and listen to the first 13 minutes on the audio feed. Getting ready for football season right around the corner. Big 12 Media Days, recruiting wins left and right. Questions and what do we learn? For Michael, I'm Spencer. I'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.